Good afternoon, world. I am Amiri Marcos, and today we are going to be talking with my life coach, Miss Christina Thomas. She has so many things to me. She is a holistic entrepreneur. I'm actually going to be interviewing her because I want to introduce her beautiful soul to the world. I am live in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a beautiful day today. She is on location in Las Vegas, in her home city. And today we're just going to be talking about all the wonderful things that she does. I was introduced to Christina about a year ago from my best friend. So this is a family connection, but it's been a beautiful connection. Again, I was gifted Christina as my life coach, and we've become so many more things. I actually work for her and her husband now. But today we're going to be talking about all of the wonderful things that she does. So I just want to say hello and welcome, Christina.
Hi, and I absolutely am so happy that we are doing this. I cannot express how this is like the right person to do this interview.
Thank you.
I want to make sure that I go ahead and say that and put that out there. It has been a gift to have you as well. You are such a blessing. Um, so, um, we started good, and we actually started off, when you asked me, so what do you do? And I just kind of left it at coaching. I didn't really, go into anything deeper. I know we talked about, mind, body, but not too much. But now that we're really in it, you really see the full spectrum. It's pretty much been awesome being like the entrepreneur of holistic living, encompassing everything.
Right. So listen, your resume is this long. I can't show it on the screen. There's a lot of things, and I want everyone to understand the totality of what you do. But let's just put it in context. What would you tell the world? What is a holistic entrepreneur? What is that to you?
A holistic entrepreneur, I guess, in simplicity, would be someone that is incorporated into mind, body, and spirit, but they're engaged in each of those areas in different ventures. So for me, I have a lot that I do in the mental health aspect, whether it's through the VA or out in my own business with Living Free Souls, or my own organizations I build for military sexual trauma, mind-body connection, evidence-based therapies, whatever that looks like. So I have those ventures there, and that's where I got a lot of healing. So I promote that. And a lot of mental health aspects is a part of our physical health. So I also have the body aspect. So that means the spectrum of yoga, swimming, the things that we so often get away from: walking, releasing energy, being able to express ourselves creatively while still doing those things. So the body encompasses in full spectrum, getting involved in artistic, healing measures of herbal, Ayurvedic type ideals, those type of ventures. I think it's important as a wellness coach that I implement all of those things
All
as
of your
well.
wellness. All of your
All of the
wellness.
wellness. You can't have one without the other, because you can't have your head without your body. So it's all one. It's just our society has separated the two. Yes. So I want to, and then on the other end, where my spiritual coaching comes in and my gifting, is to be able to encompass all of that and just live not the body, not the mind, but as one whole soul, spirit, the soil of your whole serene. So
Wholeness. Yes.
spiritual encompass, and that does not mean religion at all. We're talking just spirituality.
Spirituality.
Who are
Absolutely.
you connected to in yourself, your source, your community, and whatever that looks like? So that's pretty much what a holistic entrepreneur is.
That's awesome. So there's one thing that I forgot to mention that you do, and I really like this word, and I'm kind of fascinated by this. So you're also an alchemist. And we'll talk about, first of all, I'd like you to tell us, what is alchemy?
So alchemy, pretty much in a scientific sense, is a chemical, being able to combine chemicals to work together. For me, I do it in herbalism and finding the chemistry in different herbs to blend and work together. So that doesn't just mean what some people would think in alchemy as, oh, well, I'm talking not just metals and those type of earth matters. I'm talking rocks and metals and essential oils and herbs and tinctures and things like that. So combining all of those elements together, and we'll talk about that other business that me and Tim have, is pretty much that type of what my beautiful gift of alchemy, encompass. But I learned that through, of course, I'm sure we'll get to all of the physical ailments that I had to heal myself from.
Absolutely. So, I get to experience your products every day. I work for your brand. And I have your products here. I use them. I use your massage oils. I use your salts. I use all of those wonderful things. So I actually get to experience your alchemy. And you make an amazing product. It smells so good, and there's so many other benefits to it, which we'll get into later. But so, as an alchemist, just tell me, like, what traumatic experiences or health issues did you have that drove you to, like, become an alchemist and a holistic entrepreneur and create these things? What is going on with your body and your mind and your soul? What have you experienced that drove you to say, you know what, like, I've got to make some things to heal?
Oh, wow. I'm not going to spurt them off like a resume. So I'll just say the major ones that I treated and put myself in remission. And when I say remission, your body can endure and go back through the same things again. So that means, you have things that are dormant. So I want to always make sure that I'm clear. If you do not keep up a wellness and a balance, these very things will resurface and reteach you, and you have to learn some new ways. So for right now, in mental health ways, I know a lot of my clients that are in mental health understand me for molestation, domestic violence, military sexual rape, stalking, domestic aggravated assault / sexual assault, kidnapping, foreign nationalists, kidnapping. It was a lot for me to have to mentally encompass and then try to deal with regular life. So that's just one aspect of me. So I had to learn mental health. That's a profession that needs to guide you. So that part is healed through the gift that, God Almighty, like, thank you, therapists and psychiatrists. So they helped me, and I can't do alchemy when it comes to a good balance. So I had to use actual pharmaceuticals to help bring that. And we'll talk about that and mental health and institutionalization and all of that. But body-wise, I'm not going to name all of my diseases, but just to say a few is, I was diagnosed originally with fibromyalgia that later, because it was just unknown, was rheumatoid arthritis that affected most of my musculoskeletal, and then ankylosing spondylitis, which is rheumatoid arthritis in the spine, endometriosis, which about 7 of those surgeries out of those 36 and more surgeries was endometrial. On top of that, neurological disorders. I really had to find the best outcome. But then on top of that, I had to deal with something more severe, which was Crohn's and colitis. The most, out of all of that, my body was dealing with your gut. So I had to figure out wellness for my gut. So that's when a lot of different things came into play in healing the rest of my body.
Wow. I'm so glad that you're a survivor, and I'm so glad that you're this bright, beautiful, amazing soul. In spite of all these things that you've endured, you are the ultimate survivor. If you were a reality show, like, you would win. Like, you'd be on the island and you'd get to, like, hold up like some type of statue. And I just want to say that you're a beacon of light and hope for, like, so many people that have experienced so many traumas. Because you talked about these mental abuse and physical abuse and kidnapping and rape and domestic abuse and alcoholism. Many of us suffer from those things. I myself can put myself into a couple of those categories, and that's another conversation. But physically and mentally, how did you learn to balance these traumas? Like, being covered up in so many things, how did you even get to the point where you could start and say, like, this is going to be my mental health journey, this is going to be my healing journey, and have so much energy to like have your beautiful family, but also be a healing mentor to all of your clients and the world? Like, where does that energy even come from?
Spirit. One. Two, it was brought to me like after, of course, we're going to talk about my magical love story, but it was after my magical love story that I realized I had faced a death in the family, a teen suicide. And it was my godmother that came to me out of true love and said, no matter what I've learned is get your head together. Like, what are we really
Right.
thinking?
Yeah.
And she taught me and helped me understand how important mental health, because as you know, in our community, it's not something that's talked about. Our society doesn't open ourselves up and offer it. So I had to seek it out, and I was in the military. So at the time I had services, but it also was a taboo. So how do you do that? Well, this is how I had to wake up. I got pregnant with my miracle baby, and my mind was out of control. And I did not, and I already told me I was going to lose him. And the only thing I could think of, if I could just get my head straight, I
Right.
can get through this, and
Right.
I won't be able to let this affect my body.
Right.
So I started therapy at 4 months pregnant, and I had to go through the childhood, the kidnappings, the rapes,
Yeah.
all pregnant. So then we go into afterwards what medication looks like when you can not deal with the trauma because it's too
Right.
traumatic.
Right.
So again, another mental health aspect. So that's how I got brought to mental health.
So, I resonate with a lot of that. I actually started therapy for myself last year, and I was going through a lot of things. A lot of them were employment related, and relationship related. And, as soon as I found my amazing counselor, that's you pointed out, you started at childhood, and that is where you have to start, because
Absolutely.
we are carrying, whether we were, a victim of rape or molestation or domestic violence or whatever it was in our family. Oftentimes we can think, what, we survived that, we're good, I'm good with mom, I'm good with dad. But it's very important that you pointed out, you have to start at childhood. And as bad as I didn't want to start at childhood. I wanted to talk about, like, why aren't these relationships that I'm in working? Like, will I ever get married? Like, why do I hate my job so much? But starting at childhood is very important. Even if we think that we don't have those traumas, we have to figure those out. So why don't you talk about, maybe what that looked like? Like, what was your therapy timeline? Like, did you
Oh,
know where you were and where you'd end up?
oh wow. Okay, so we'll have a series for that for one.
Right.
It took me, and I say post-traumatic growth is a lifetime thing. But I started therapy in 2005, and I just finished 2019. So
Wow.
I have, yes, so you can do the math on that. That's a long time. And it was sometimes every single week or twice a week, every consistent.
Right.
It was sometimes over medication to get you
Mhm.
through. It was sometimes institutionalization to keep you safe or someone else safe. It was a lot of different aspects in truth and honesty that, in the spectrum of mental health. Did that answer? I can't. Did I?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, you're full of answers. You have a wealth of knowledge. Like, if we were to write your story, it would be like encyclopedias.
Yeah,
So
good.
yeah, I know that you have a lot, and I pull a lot from you, and I learn things about myself. So let me ask you another question. As I said, when I started, I did not realize that I was still suffering from childhood traumas, with issues that I thought that I had reserved or resolved with my parents, rather. Um, my question for you, and hopefully you can answer this question for others: how do we know we even have trauma? Like, what are symptoms of trauma, whether they be physical or mental? How do we even know that we have trauma, Christina?
Well, I love this. I forgot who it is, but it's one of my favorite comedians. He put it spot on, and you learn this in therapy. Um, the first thing you need to understand is relearn what we think we know about trauma. See, the first
Mhm.
thing that you would think is, oh,
Yeah.
I like this in my, we'll talk about my series on cannabis. Oh, it's the gateway drug. No, trauma is the gateway drug. So the
Oh,
symptoms of
absolutely.
trauma is
Absolutely.
alcoholism, addiction, promiscuity,
Yeah.
horrible relationships. We could talk about identity crisis, oppositional defiance disorder, opposition to authority, opposition to, we could keep going. Like, how do you know? Oh, there's plenty of symptoms how you know. It's whether or not you want to acknowledge you want to change your life. That's the truth.
That part, that is amazing. So can you just say that again? Can you say that and say it very slow? And audience that's listening and watching, just you know that you want to change your life. Can you
Yes,
delve into that for
it's
me?
not about the acknowledge, like you can acknowledge it, but what are you going to do to change it? Like we can have
Right.
addictive behaviors and it's healthy behaviors. Guess what? I had an actual experience to where, oh my gosh, oh, I'm not drinking, but I sure was tearing up them Reese's Pieces. I mean, same thing. You listen. So the same thing is, how much do you want to change your life? How much
Right.
is it? How hard do you have to go through the suffering? How much
Right.
do you want to hurt before you say, okay, I got to change?
So
Because
essentially you're saying that like we have these symptoms or we have something that's not going right was trying to not be my parents or aunts, uncles, cousins. You don't want to repeat like a divorce or a domestic situation or infidelity. But what I found out is that I was the common denominator and that I had to figure and it shows up as overeating. How do we identify these traumas?
so the first thing is, like I said, saying, well, oh my God, I just gained 50 pounds. Or, oh my God, my wife just said she's going to divorce me. Or, oh my God, my kid said he hates me. Those are all symptoms that you're like, oh, that's outside of me, but they're also reflections of you inside. So whatever it is that's causing that discomfort around you is like, oh, why is all of this stuff happening around me? Well, what's happening in you? So the first step is professional. I can't sort this puzzle out. I need just a little direction. Sometimes it's just a little direction. What does this mean? It's beyond the medical journals. It's an intimate look into your spirit and not someone in your mind. No one can be in your
Mhm.
mind. You have to give that to them. No one can take it. So it's saying, I need a little help. I got these symptoms of I'm making behaviors and choices that aren't getting me where I want to go. But that goes back to, what do you want to change? And that's the coaching part. And what is the goal? What is your intention? What are you going to do after you change? So it's one
Yeah.
thing to change a behavior, but what are you going to fill it with?
Right. Right. This is like one of my sessions with you. It's almost like my life coaching session. And now I'm all in my head. But I do want to say
No.
you've taught me something very important, and other people have said it to me too, and it's really, really resonated. One, listen more than you speak, but also two, your words are very powerful. And I think it's very important how you've taught me to frame some of my behaviors and some of my words. And I want the world to know, and I want you to wear it like, as a badge of honor that you're a trauma survivor. You're not a victim of your trauma. You are a
No.
survivor of your trauma. Like, if in my understanding, if you're living and breathing today, if you got up, you survived all of that trauma, whether it's kidnapping, whether it's rape, whether it's domestic abuse, whether it's like alcoholism. like you survived. So what I want to know is the people that your healing mentor, the people that you heal and mentor and life coach, and the people that you speak to, and the people that use your products for their ailments and their mental health. What is your hope and dream and goal for other trauma survivors?
To be exactly what they were designed to be and live freely.
That's beautiful.
That is the truth behind Living Free Souls. It is living a life after trauma and being the alchemist of what that looks like.
So you're saying that we can be the alchemist of our own mental health?
Oh, absolutely. It's nothing better than when I began to teach those around me. And, you know, some of my clients, just to name a few of those, are schizophrenic, schizoaffective, bipolar, type 1, type 2, OCD, ODD, so many different types of things. And you're thinking, oh my God, like those are so many different bad things that, you know, I can't get through. Yes, you can. Some people have to have medication that is conventional medication, and some people don't. Every person is their own, but you don't know that until you see a professional. So for me, it is a matter of, it doesn't matter, you know, what it is. You can create by taking out the mess and placing in the good, and reparenting, retraining what you want your life to look like. That doesn't mean, but in essence, that's why I have the coaching. What are you retraining? If you're just retraining other bad behaviors and other choices that are not going to get you to your goal, then you definitely are not doing anything in alchemy. You're alchemizing disaster in a whole nother session. So I just have to be real.
Recipe for disaster.
Recipe. And then, you know, I got to alchemize, you know, some things for you to heal yourself, you know, so.
But you make recipes for success. Your recipes are so tasty. They're so good. But, you know, I think it's important that the public knows, that the world knows that you make recipes for yourself. So could we say, in essence, that mental health is a recipe for the best tasting meal of health and wellness that you will ever digest in your life? Could we say that mental health is that?
I think mental health is just as important as gut health on realness.
Right.
So if I had to put those two, like, I mean, there is, man, yes,
Right.
yes to that. Yes. It's everything. Just like what you eat is everything on how your body functions, your mind, what you're putting in. And I like to teach this about what's your appetite? Like, what is that? Are you hungry for knowledge? Are you hungry for thrill? What's your appetite? And that begins to show you what's driving you. Like, where did that come from? Were you the little boy with the bulldozer? There's the teacher in me.
Right.
Boy in the bulldozer that was like, you know, like really hardcore, need that thrill? Or are you really the one that wanted to read and nurture and learn?
Right.
That's where coaching comes in. You do it built off of the person, and then they can shift and move the way they want to.
So we've all got, so what you're saying is everybody has a recipe that's unique to them. Like everybody's flavor is going to be different. Some of them are going to bake, broil, air fry, grill, like,
seasoned, you know, and I love that.
Right.
You know, one of the reasons why I'm not out there on the internet and doing that, I know that's part of what you do and why we'll be moving forward. But one of the reasons why is because I am not a catch-all. These 5 steps to success.
Right.
And I, you know, I'm not going to use profanity, but no, because those 5 steps to success didn't work. And I tried a lot of people, and I spent a lot of money trying to do steps to success. And then I finally heard someone that had no intentions of being a guru of anything, but don't you know that we are all, you know, like our own success? And it kind of dawned on me that what is my success? One, what's my value? What's my understanding and truth? What is my true integrity? Not my parents' integrity, not the military's integrity, not my husband's, not my son's, not Walmart, not Amazon. What's my integrity? Because, you know, what's the value? And that's another lesson of, we have to understand what's our value, what's our currency, and what's our worth. and make
Right.
it work together. So I feel like right now that's where we're at, being able to understand, this is our truth now. This is our new beginning.
So listen, you and I could talk for hours and days and make volumes and series and episodes of all of these wonderful things. But there's two questions that I want to ask before we end this interview, of many more to come. The first question of the two is, from a layperson's perspective, if I was not aware of mental health, tell me where I can start. Tell the audience, tell the world, like, where they can start. Like, how do you start your mental health journey? What is the one thing or place that someone can go to say, you know what, I'm ready to take control of my life. I'm ready to resolve some issues. What would I do? What would that first step look like?
Well, I'm going to try to break it out into groups because it works differently. Again, I am not a catch-all type person, so I'll break it out into the groups that I know. For first, being a part of here in Las Vegas and being a part of an advocacy council for the Veterans Mental Health Advocacy Council, you're a part of different members in the community. However, we also have national outreach. So I always advise everyone to go to your VA if you're a veteran, because those services can be offered to you if you have post-traumatic stress disorder and you're service related. So I always say for veterans to start there, because you're going to always take in mind our health and wellness is based off of our finances. So we have to look at things that are affordable and still consistent. So right now, I've also been teamed with NAMI, which is National Alliance for Mental Illness. So they have different sources right now. We're in COVID crisis, so there's different available things during this period that once weren't. So we're going on a digital global line. So I really think it is in the best interest of everyone to go and Google their local mental health affordable practitioners.
Okay.
I'm not talking about someone that's religious or a healer or that. No, I'm talking about actual chemical brain neurons, neurological conditions that need a actual medical professional. I'm not
Absolutely.
talking any of that. We could talk healers. Yes, I'll talk to you. However, that's a different realm. So I want to say that it's about like saying Google it, but be specific. Where do you live? Look at the 5 stars. What are the reviews of that person? Call the office, ask, do you treat these symptoms? I'm really struggling. If you're suicidal or you have suicidal ideation means that you have thoughts that are reoccurring of suicide, harm, or to others. You got to remember there's suicidal and homicidal type ideations. There's hotlines, national hotlines. Google those hotlines. Start there. If you start feeling like my mind is unfamiliar, you need to reach out immediately. Those are when those choices start being a little blurred.
Absolutely. And just to give the public the audience more clarity, can you explain, just in a high level, what's the difference between a mental health counselor and a psychiatrist? And I ask that question because a lot of people think, when we're going through these mental things, the first thing a doctor will do is say, you need Zoloft, you need Adderall, you need Paxil, you need this, you need that. Can you explain the difference between I can be healed and learn and fix my trauma from a counselor just as I can a psychiatrist? So maybe explain, when someone should go to one or the other. How do they know?
Well, for starters, a counselor that is a true practitioner is going to know if in their right, if this person needs further assistance, and that's when you get referred to a psychiatrist. Now, a psychiatrist is pretty much a MD in their own right to prescribe you pharmaceutical medications. That means that they can understand chemistry enough and their education enough to say, oh, these symptoms match this diagnosis that I know are clearly directing towards this problem. I know a medication that chemically in this diverted brain, because there's so many sections and beautiful areas of the brain that operate differently. The community doesn't know about that. So if you're prescribed 3 or 4 medications, it's because it's trying to treat 3 or 4 areas in your brain. So with that, a psychiatrist must be present. You say you have anxiety, you say you have depression, you may have a free frontal lobe issue, you may have masses or sinus things, pressures, all types of things that they actually know in their expertise. A counselor is there to do what we call, some evidence-based things. Like, here's one of the things that would be a counselor can help you with, if you can read this book. It's a mindfulness-based stress reduction work. Now, a counselor can walk you through. You could do this for yourself, but you're not educated in mental, the study of the mind enough to know how to apply that tool appropriately without causing more hindrance to your journey. So I want people to understand, just because you go to a counselor does not mean that you're getting prescribed medication. It's clearly saying, I need to talk to someone that understands the mind better than me, that can say, oh, now we could talk about the ones that want to be judgmental and be like, ooh, you depressed, Zoloft, Paxil, Prozac, ooh, see me in a month, I'm gonna come see you. Where my money? Let's not get that twisted. Chris is not about that life of lies. They are out there. You have to do your research.
Absolutely.
And so I'm definitely like telling people now more than ever, especially with the talk. Be open, be flexible, but also know that this is your journey. Nobody can walk it but you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, this was a lot, and a lot of greatness and a lot of good information. And I hope that, we come together and just understand that we have to be fit in our minds. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about this and to, share your gifts and your experience and your knowledge with the world. But we never end these things without an interesting something. So my interesting something is, I am going to gift you a time machine. And with that time machine that I'm going to gift you, I want to send you back 30 years to meet yourself 30 years ago. So all of this knowledge and these gifts and the healing.
I couldn't hear you. Can you say it again? Are you there?
I'm here. Mm-hmm. You're frozen, but I'm here.
Okay. So you said going back to the 7-year-old me with all the gifts. So one of the things that I really think is amazing is being able to say that I got to be the girl that I needed at 7. So maybe that's why I go so hard, is because I know what I needed. And in every phase, no matter, I'm 37 years old, and it's pretty fantastic to be able to say that I didn't have to wait till I was 80 to go through all of this and get this much wisdom and understanding of what's important in life, even though it took a lot away from our society's concept of what we should be doing in 20s and 30s. It gave me, I lived an older life. So I go back to her as a wise elder saying, okay, this is what you're going to experience. And here's the facets of what I need you to know. But when I was 7, I also was very, very, very close to the divine. And I already had a very close connection to the spirit. So at 7, I had already understood that there was much, much, much that I would face because I had already. So I would go back and tell her, hold tight. I'm here the whole way.
I love that. That is beautiful. I wish that we all could time machine ourselves back to then and tell ourselves to hold tight. I experienced childhood traumas too, and there is a point in which you think that you will not get out of them. I remember I used to could not wait to go to college, and I was like, I wouldn't have to deal with my thing. I was, I was an adult from the time I was about 13, but I just could not wait to get out of that house. And I think that we all need that in this world. We all say hold tight, and it will not always be like this. It cannot rain for 365 days. It never will. Your rainbow is coming, your clouds will move, and your sun will shine. I think that's very important. Just lastly, just leave everyone with a thought. Just all of that light and love and radiance that you give to me on a daily basis. Why don't you just leave someone just with a thought for today? What's on your mind that you want to share with the world that could help them with this moment?
Wow. Everything I do is I live it, I walk it, I talk it, I eat it. Everything I do in healing is I'm healing right now. And the first thing that comes to my mind right now is rest in your love.
Rest in your love. Rest in your love.
It'll
So
hit you
love
later.
it and leave it.
No. Know what the love is and sit in it. When's the last time you
No.
sat in the love instead of sitting in your shit? When's the
Oof.
last time you sat in the love?
Well, I got something to do today now. Wow, you just gave me another assignment. So today I got to sit in love. Well, I'm on the way to see my mom, so I guess I get to sit in love today. That's absolutely awesome. Christina, I want to thank you for this time. It has been an honor and a pleasure to talk to you and to expose your gifts to the world and let everyone know that their rainbow is coming and that they can heal. This is
Yes.
Christina Thomas. I am Amiri Drake Marcos. This is Living Free Souls and Herbally Free brand. You will get more information, more interviews, and more stuff from us because there's a lot that we're going to talk about and a lot that we're going to share with the world.
Yes, it is. And we get to tell that magical love story. Ooh.
Can't wait to hear that because I need some hope in that department.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. It's such a
Thank
blessing.
you.
We're going to head off and say, stay tuned for more. Blessings and love, everyone.